Today I'm going to be reviewing Antiquity Quest by Grandpa Beck. It's actually a very good game. I like it. So, you open the box, and inside there's instructions. Other games where you can save 15%. Little reminders and points and what things do and how much points you get for every single thing on the side. And then a scoreboard for how much bonus points, collection points, and card points, and then how much rounds. You do 3 rounds usually. Then 4 decks. Though you only use about 2 decks in a game, sometimes 3 decks, depends on which players. 2 players I've tried with 2 decks once, and once it is 3 decks. But yeah. So, there's different type of cards. There's treasure cards, a antiquity card. There's different colored antiquity cards, a bunch of them. Another treasure card, and there's 2 other cards. Let's see if I can find them. So there's this card, treasure, antiquity, a Tess, and a Remington. So to set up, you take a deck, right? You put all the decks in the middle on one pile, and you give everybody 2 piles of 10. So if I'm playing with 2 players, I would have 2 piles of 10. And I would give out 10 on each pile. So in total, every person gets 2 decks of 10. They pick up 1 deck, their cards, and then they try to make a collection. So to make a collection, here's how it works. There's different collections. I don't really know their collections. And then on the bottom it says, playing your turn. So first, you draw 2 cards or take the discard pile. I'll say that later. Second, you play as many cards as you wish or none. And third, you discard a card or remove the discard pile with a Tess. So I'm going to talk about the Tess and Remington right now. So a Tess, when you're done your turn and you're up to discard a card, instead of discarding the card, you cannot discard your Remington. You could discard everything else. So Tess, if you discard Tess, the discard pile, let's say this is the discard pile, a bunch of cards, and you can take the Tess, discard it, right, for the empty turn, and then what happens to the whole discard pile is that the whole discard pile goes into a character pile, which is another type of pile. So there's a discard pile, draw pile, so let's say this is a discard pile, draw pile, and then a character pile. So if you discarded a Tess, you take all these cards, and they would go into the character pile, and then there would still be a discard pile like right over there. Then a Remington. A Remington is one of the cards you can play in your turn. You can play as many cards out in your turn as you like. You put it in the character pile, not the discard, to play it, and you take 2 extra cards. Then to get a collection, I'm going to explain the collections, and then I'm going to explain how to pick up first let's do picking the discard pile. So, let's say this is the discard pile, and I have, this for my hand. 2 purples, 2 blues, a yellow, and the orange. So I have that for what I have. This card right here is purple, and I have 2 purples. So how it works is to take the discard pile instead of picking 2 cards. So in the beginning of your turn, you would pick 2 cards. But since I have 2 purples, I can pick the discard pile. How that works is that if you have 2 to 4 of the same color on top, it doesn't matter the number, same color, So this is a purple line of 2 purples. You could have 4 or 3. You would show the 2 purples, or 3 or 4, depends how much you have. Show it. Take the whole discard pile and take those 2 purples and that purple on top and put it as a collection, not finished collection. Okay, now I'll say what the collections are. Okay, collection is a different types of collections. There's a mixed collection. A mixed collections, a standard antiquity, a standard treasure, a perfect antiquity, and a perfect treasure. A mixed collection is worth 250. A standard antiquity is worth 500 points. A standard treasure is worth 750. A perfect antiquity is worth 1,000. And a perfect treasure, which is very hard to get, is worth 1,500. Okay, so a mixed collection has 5 antiquity and treasure cards. So 5 total. I can have 3 treasure cards. So like here, let me find treasures. So like a mixed collection is any type of treasure card. Doesn't matter what type of treasure card. Any amount of treasure cards plus 1 color of antiquity. That would be a mixed collection. If you only had 4 of them though, let's say, if you had 4 of them, it would not be considered a mixed collection and it would be considered an unfinished collection. But, let's say you have this and you want to get rid of your cards so you could pick the second deck. That's how it works, your second hand of cards, second 10 cards. So, let's say I only have a purple and a yellow. And then I picked 2 other, and then I picked, no, let's say I had a yellow, right? And then I picked 2 purples. So now I have this for my turn. And I want to get rid of all of my cards. So this is already a finished collection, but since it's a mixed collection, you can add as much treasures onto here and as much antiquities onto here. So I can take my 2 purples and put it on there. And then my yellow I can throw out, and then I'll go to my second deck. Also, anyone else is allowed to add to your collections. So, here's another type of collection. Another type of collection is a standard antiquity, which is 5 of the same color. So, this is a standard antiquity. This is worth 500 points. It has to be the same color, but it doesn't matter numbers. Then if you wanted a standard treasure, which is worth 750 points, would be basically, a second, let me find it. Would be this. This is a standard treasure, which is worth 750. Doesn't matter what treasure, as long as it's 5. Then there's a perfect antiquity. Perfect antiquity would be 1, 2, 3, and then a 4, and a 5. That would be a perfect antiquity, which is worth 1,000 points. You're not going to add it on to anything except for mixed collections once it's finished, the collection. Then a perfect treasure. A perfect treasure is the hardest to get. Like, I've only got it like once in the game, twice I got it. And it would be consisting of this plus the other treasure, which I can't find. Let me just find it. Which one am I missing? I am missing gold. This would be a perfect treasure. Hardest to get. It's one of every single type of treasure. That would be 1,500 points. So, but let's say I had this, and it's all the place turn. I'm gonna put this down so it's a perfect antiquity, perfect treasure actually. Sorry. They could do on their turn. They could take their blue. Let's say they have blue, put it onto this, and it become a mixed collection, and that would really mess you up. It would become from 1,500 to 250, which is very low. So that's why you want to make sure they cannot add anything on yours. So what would you do is, let's say I had all 5 of them in my hand, because I collected all of them from picking and everything, and I saved them in my hand. I could put them all down at once and become right there a collection. You're only allowed to put down at least 3 cards as a collection. So I could put these 3, and then for another collection I could put these 3. But it has to consist of at least, an unfinished collection has to be at least 3 cards. And then you check your points. Okay, so to check your points is, here is a card, you can look at it. 250 for mixed collection, 500 for standard antiquity, standard treasure 750, 1,000 is perfect antiquity, and 1,500 is perfect treasure. So you would count every points for every single one, and then add it together. You would play 3 rounds, so you would keep track on the score. Then, for every single card in your hand, depends what type of card. If you have an antiquity in your hand, oh wait, I forgot to say something. How it works is, you have 1 turn after a person, if you play 2 players. If you play 2 players, if I put down all my cards and got my second deck and put down all that, and I have at least 5 collections, and I discarded both hands of both decks that I got, because I used both already, then you don't get any more cards. You have 0 cards now, except for the collections. You have collections, right? And then the other player has 1 turn left with the 2-player game. 1 turn left, and that's it. For every single antiquity in your hand, you minus 25 points. For every treasure card in your hand, you minus 50 points. And then for any Remington or Tess in your hand, you would minus 100 points. Let's say though you had a not finished collection, so like that. Well, she can't be that because it's 2 cards. This. Every treasure is worth plus 50 points because it's not in your hand. It says an unfinished collection. Every treasure would be worth 50 points, and antiquity 25 points. Then you play 3 rounds and see whoever has the most points, and then whoever has the most points wins. That is how you play Antiquity Quest. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and have a good day.